If you want to see how Twinkies are hidden in several shots throughout the movie, then stick around to the end of this video. 2009. It was the end of the decade. Nigahiga was the biggest YouTuber with less than 2 million subscribers.
I'm gonna be telling you guys all the great, wonderful reasons why 2009 sucked platypus.
And a comedy horror called Zombieland became the darling of pop culture in an October noticeably void of many horror movies. Sounds familiar? Let's get into the things you missed. The film opens by showing zombies at the US Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Something that looks like it may be revisited in the sequel. And after a zoom out, you can see some of the rides at Pacific Playland, which the characters would visit at the end of the movie. As Columbus is going over the rules, he mentions an interesting observation.
When you're at your most vulnerable, somehow they could just smell it.
This could explain why so many of them gather at the end of the movie, outside of the fact that Wichita and Little Rock are already drawing extra attention to themselves by turning on the theme park. The opening credits are animated to react to each of the scenes, and the director's credit, Ruben Fleischer, gets jumbled around so that it reads Ruben Flesh. You know, because zombies eat flesh. Tallahassee paints the number 3 on both of his cars. This is probably a tribute to American race car driver Dale Earnhardt, who uses the number 3 and can be seen on a poster in Tallahassee's flashback. Columbus never makes it back to Ohio to see if his parents are still alive, but he does mention that they're also paranoid shut-ins, much like himself. Maybe there's a hint that they are still alive for the sequel. During his flashback, I noticed a very nice piece of Aqua Teen Hunger Force art on the wall. Probably a sign of things to come because hunger is the main force that drives not only the zombies, but also Tallahassee.
Where are you, you spongy yellow delicious bastards? Where are you?
Columbus also drinks can after can of Mountain Dew Code Red. Code Red is usually a term used to describe a state of emergency, which could be an accurate way to label the zombie outbreak seen in this movie. Columbus and his hot neighbor call each other by their apartment numbers, which keeps up the trend of there being no real names used for most of this movie. When she turns into a zombie and comes after him to the bathroom, the subtle joke here is that he sprays her with disinfectant spray. Zombies are often called the infected, so it's kind of funny to think that something like that would work. The Twinkie search takes Columbus and Tallahassee to Blaine's Grocery, a name that was later used in the 2013 zombie survival game called State of Decay. Wichita and Little Rock's scheme is to make the boys think that Little Rock is infected in order for Wichita to do the honors on her sister, only to steal the guns in the vehicle. It's a pretty risky plan if you ask me. I mean, how did they not know that Tallahassee wouldn't just fire without hesitation right about here? Tallahassee's longing for a Twinkie continues after the guys lose all of their stuff.
Believe it or not, Twinkies have an expiration date.
This is a reference to a well-traveled myth that Twinkies never expire, but in reality they last about 25 days. If Tallahassee is aware of this fact, then that means almost all of North America was wiped out in a little under 1 month.
It's amazing how quickly things can go from bad to total storm.
When Columbus and Tallahassee make it to the next town, a couple of upside-down American flags can be seen. This could be somewhat of a new flag for Zombieland because we also see an inverted Star-Spangled Banner in the opening shot of the movie. There's also some humorous stuff hidden in the background of the town scene, like a bridal shop plastered with anti-zombie propaganda and one store with a no zombie sign, as if saying that they aren't allowed in would somehow protect them. Maybe the owners of that store mixed up zombies with vampires. I'll come back to analyze the car scene later in this video, but I've got to point out, they waste a lot of ammo in this movie. In the scene that shows one of Wichita and Little Rock's pre-Zombieland scams, this gas station employee is the same guy from the Beware of Bathrooms example seen 2 minutes into the movie. Poor dude just can't catch a break. There's also a gag that appears a couple of times where the characters reference something called Zombie Kill of the Week.
Oh, very cool. But zombie kill of the week, no sir.
It comes up again later when they get to the Indian trading post.
Zombie kill of the week?
Close, but no cigar. Zombie kill of the week goes to Sister Cynthia Knickerbocker.
I don't know how Columbus would have known about this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's no TV or internet at this point. Apparently, the idea for Zombie Kill of the Week is actually left over from when the script for Zombieland was actually being considered as a weekly TV show rather than a movie. But let's say they do know about Cynthia Knickerbocker. That would help explain this line later on from Tallahassee.
6 people left in the world. One of them is Bill Murray.
So Columbus, Tallahassee, Bill Murray, Wichita, Little Rock, and Cynthia Knickerbocker are the 6 people left, as far as we know. Their next stop is at this Native American gift shop place, a location stuffed with even more hidden meanings and things you missed. at the trading post. And okay, I wouldn't normally point out something this random, but this hat is the same hat that Jesse wears in Toy Story 2. I mean, it's the exact same hat. That's the only reason I bring it up. And this scene represents the white man's conquest to take over and control America, and the destruction it caused to Native American communities and the blatant disregard for Indian culture on their journey to commit mass genocide. No, I'm just kidding. This is just a fun scene where they break stuff. Also, Kimosabe, the name of the place that they stopped off in, is a phrase used by Tonto in the classic Western television series The Lone Ranger, which oddly enough has come up in 2 consecutive Things You Missed episodes. Hi-ho, Silver, roll it.
Why, you Kimosabe. Kimosabe? That sounds familiar. That's right, Kimosabe. You trusty scout. Trusty scout?
So naming this location Kimosabe fits in perfectly with the themes of Zombieland. At the beginning, they're each rogue scouts, but in order to thrive, each of them has to learn to trust each other. Kimosabe, trusty scouts. Their next destination is Hollywood, where they stay at Bill Murray's house, and one night they discuss what the best parts of Zombieland are.
I don't know, best thing about Zealand? No Facebook status updates. You know, Rob Curtis is gearing up for Friday. Who cares?
The actor that plays Columbus is named Jesse Eisenberg, and less than 1 year later, he would play Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg in the David Fincher movie, The Social Network. The Social Network was casted in summer of 2009, a bit after Zombieland was shot in February 2009. However, both were produced by Columbia Pictures and distributed by Sony. So it's possible that when Zombieland was created, they had the inside scoop that Eisenberg was probably going to play Zuckerberg and put in that joke, because it isn't all that funny without the context. But like the discussion about the best parts of Zombieland, it's the character relationship scenes that make this movie stand out above many other zombie flicks, like the romantic scene between Columbus and Wichita. They discuss what each of them was doing in 1997. What was I doing in 1997? I guess I would have been in pre-K. Wichita says that she saw her first R-rated movie in 97. Ironically, my first R-rated movie came out in 1997 as well. I didn't see it in 1997, obviously, but we do kind of have that in common. When Wichita tells about her first kiss, Columbus asks her,
You guys use tongue?
This may be because he's still a little bit traumatized about what happened last time he had a crush on a girl. Yeah, so the girls leave Bill Murray's house the next morning. And by the way, I find it a little hard to believe that Bill doesn't have any Cubs memorabilia. I mean, they just had come off 2 division titles at the time. Anyway, the girls go to the theme park and turn on the power. And I love how the rides just immediately start going. Like as soon as the power goes on, all the rides just start running or something. Like something out of a theme park creepypasta. At the end of the movie, Tallahassee does finally get his Twinkie. However, there are 4 Twinkies that he overlooked over the course of the adventure. The first was when they come across the crashed Hostess truck, but it's filled with snowballs.
Snowballs? Yeah. Snowballs? Where's the fucking Twinkies?
But if Tallahassee had looked just a little bit further, he would have found a bunch of Twinkies stashed behind the other door of the truck. Then, in the grocery store, he walks right past the Twinkies while he's taking out this zombie.
You got a purty mouth.
Just kidding. If any of you have seen this image, it's actually photoshopped. It's not real. And finally, in the snack shack, moments after Columbus blows the bullet shell through the last remaining box of Twinkies, Tallahassee turns on the lights to the storage pantry. Not sure how he knew where the light switch was, but he somehow overlooks the Twinkies sitting on the shelf. But there's one more long yellow treat filled with a sweet filling, and that comes just after Tallahassee loses his car to Wichita and Little Rock. The Hummer.
Thank God for rednecks.
The Hummer is truly Tallahassee's Twinkie that he never knew he wanted. The yellow metal covering on the outside offers him protection that he needs to survive in Zombieland. And the sweet filling is the guns that they find in the back seat, which give them a much needed means of fighting back against the zombies. The happiest we see Tallahassee, other than when he meets Bill Murray, is when he gets his 2 Twinkies.
Something about a Twinkie reminded him of a time not so long ago, when things were simple and not so f***ing psychotic. It was like if he got a taste of that comforting childhood treat, the world would become innocent again and everything would return to normal.
And so it does, when these 4 survivors put away their trust issues to become sort of like a family. But do they stay that way? We'll find out in Zombieland 2, and you'll find out some of the things you missed in next week's episode. So make sure you subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week, ring that death bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.